Dude, the one on Weatherman is funny, man. I'm gonna try to. Hello, YouTube. Got me on the Facebook. I see it. I gotta share myself because I always forget. Forgive me if you're watching and it's slow starting here. Gotta get myself prepared. Hello. Live. Boom. I'm set up here. Hello, everybody. Thank you for getting on here. Thank you for sticking around with me if you stuck around with me. My name is Hayden. I work with the GoodTimeTommy team here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Usually you have Shawan Weathers up here and weatherman Stephen Weathers, but today you get me. And today we're going to be talking about the market and the market shifting and what effects it's had on the price range under $500,000 and what effects it's had on the price range over $500,000. And if you're watching this, please like, comment, and share. I appreciate you getting on. Skelly, I appreciate you watching always, my man. Wish you could make a jump shot tonight. It'd be good. That'd be good for us at our game. I am the Funk Mister. Thank you for getting on. So I want to start out by saying, the market is shifting. Josh is the Funk Mister. Okay, Josh, the redheaded Funk Mister. Let me get right into it. There's been lots of talk about the interest rates going up. They've actually recently dropped. Last I saw, they were right around 5.4. And this is scaring a lot of people. We were so low in the past couple years. They got down to. I've got a buddy that's got a house got a house he bought 2 years ago, and his interest rate's 2.1. So for anybody that has seen those interest rates, and now they're looking at a 5 and 6% interest rate, people are scared. They're worried. That we're in a recession, and this has caused a big stall right before the 4th of July in people reaching out about properties. It went to a screeching halt at all price points. Now, 4th of July is over. People have taken their beating from the interest rates going up. And what I really think happened is, people have been getting beat up in this market, putting in offers, getting beat out by multiple offers. And then those interest rates rose on them, and they got knocked out of a purchase power of maybe even $100,000. So what they were looking at previously with an interest rate of 3 and 4%, a $500,000 house, when it jumped up to 6, 7, their purchasing power went down to $400,000 house, and that is a big difference in product. So you can imagine how they felt and how beat up they felt. Malik, my man, thank you for getting on all the way from Texas. I saw you were just in Mexico. That's where I want to be at. But now that people have gotten used to these interest rates, they've actually gone down a little bit. We're seeing a market shift. Now, this is still a seller-dominated market. This is not going to be a buyer's market until the days on the inventory? Josh, what is it, the days on market?
Absorption rate.
The absorption rate is what, at 6 months? Mm-hmm. Is that a balanced market?
For some it might be 4.
Right. So right now, and we're talking about Middle Tennessee here. Right now, we're at about in between 20 and 30 days on absorption rate. My good friend Josh helped me out here. So that's a balanced market, and we're nowhere near that. So what I wanted to talk to you about is what the market shifts mean for you if you're looking under $500,000 and what the market shift means for you if you're looking over $500,000. Based on what I've seen, and I've got all of our top agents here on the team. This is a standing audience only today. But what I have seen is there hasn't been much shift under $500,000. Have y'all seen much of a shift under $500,000 for buyers? And what we're seeing previously in the past 2 years is every house under $500,000, and in the past 2 years, even on up to $1 million, you're seeing people go over asking price of $100,000, $200,000. Noah made it, didn't make a client. Noah proposed a deal to a seller, and it was a cash deal, right? How much earnest money was it? $480,000 earnest money on a house, and that's how much the price of that. That was y'all's offer price, right? Yeah. So his offer price was $480,000, and he recommended that they put $480,000 earnest money down, just to show the sellers how serious their offer was. And in turns, he got the house. And how many offers did you beat out on that one?
It was like 10.
It was like
Listed at 450.
it was listed at $450. He offered $480, and offered all that money, earnest money, up front because they were paying cash. And those were the things you were seeing the past 2 years that you had to do to get a house. Hard to say no to $480,000 earnest money. But, as this market shifted, we've been talking a lot. I know we've talked about this a lot. We've seen a lot of, we've been talking about, people paying closing costs, people taking less for than their list price. We've been talking about list prices getting lowered. And now that we've been in this market shift a little longer, I'm seeing that, under $500,000, things haven't changed much. Every seller's agent I've talked to and every listing that we've had, we're still getting an average of 5 to 10 offers on anything under $500,000. We're not seeing any price changes. We're not seeing any closing costs getting paid. We're not seeing it get any better when it comes to terms of protection for your buyer with inspections and appraisals and home sale contingencies. You're still having to waive all those and go over for anything under $500,000. I'm seeing. Are y'all seeing that too? Everybody in the office.
Yep.
So that leads me to talk about the things that are happening over $500,000. Now, anything over $500,000, I believe John Jones talked about last month. I believe it was almost 20% of the listings over $500,000 have had a price adjustment. So they have had a certain price. They weren't getting any offers. They weren't getting as much attention as they thought they would, and they reduced their price. And if you're looking for a house over $500,000, this is something that should really excite you because we're seeing people get houses under contract with home sale contingencies. We're seeing sellers take full price, nothing over contracts with inspections and appraisals. And, this market shifting is really benefiting right now anybody looking over $500,000. If you're looking for a house over $500,000 right now, it is the best time I have seen to buy since I've been in the business of almost 2.5 years. And then when I got into it, interest rates were at 3%. They got down a little lower to I think it averaged like 2.4, 2.5. And ever since then, they've slowly crept back up. But I have never, since interest rates dropped that low and COVID and everything that's happened, I have never seen the opportunities I have now for a buyer over $500,000. And has anybody in here seen that with anybody they're working with as well? Does anybody have anything under contract over $500,000 or seen any stories they got to add to this?
There was one. It was 700.
Come on up here, Josh. Let me sit in the mic because there's no mics over here. This is Josh Harrell, one of our top agents.
It was 700,000. Sorry, it was 700,000, and we went under contract. It was a little bit before. I think it was right. It was right before July 4th. I think it was like June, middle of June, so right before all the craziness hit, and they ended up going under contract. It was cash, by the way. It wasn't a loan, no home inspection, no nothing, for $725. Almost the same house right down the road, same comp. It was almost identical. They listed at $700, and after I think 2 weeks ago, they went under contract for like $690.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we're seeing. We actually had, thank you, Josh. I'm so glad you could make an appearance, man. You always make me look better. Yes. No, and we're talking about a listing that we had in our office. We had a listing that was listed at $600,000. And there were some comps in there that sold 2 weeks before, listed right at $600,000, same house in a different part of the subdivision, same amount of bedrooms, same square footage. 2 weeks before we listed it, they got over $600,000. One was at around $620,000, and I think the other one was at $625,000 or $630,000, same house. Well, within those 2 weeks, from the last two houses to the house that we listed at $600,000, was right in between that big interest rate jump. And so luckily we had some sellers that were really kind, and they were very aware of the market and how this affected it. So they were very understanding of this, but we sat on the market for almost 3 weeks. And the other two houses were sold in 3 days. So you can imagine as a seller why this would concern you and why we didn't have one offer. Showings were slim to none. And we ended up having to take a $575 offer. And I think this is the perfect example to that market shift that I'm talking about. Is there anything else that y'all have talking about this?
Yeah, I do have one thing to add. One thing, over $500,000, these people got so used to getting these offers that were just crazy amounts over what they were asking. I feel like another reason why it's starting to slow down is because people are starting to get a little bit more greedy.
Yep.
I feel like people said they saw a few months ago, oh, well, my neighbor listed for $600, and they got 650, I'm gonna try to do the exact same thing. And they listed at 650, and they ended up at 630.
Yep.
So I feel like that definitely has an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say a big thing right now, and this is something, I've ran into before, and it kind of,
Noah, come in here. Make an appearance on here. We can't hear you. You're so far. The audience needs to hear. Come on, man.
Do you need a chair?
I'm talking to my fellow agents here. What I'm saying is, we'll say it that way on the
Share a seat.
No, really, what I want to say was, what I'm seeing nowadays is that, these homes listed over 500,000, they are sitting on the market a lot longer, and there's been situations where, an agent in the office has not ran comps on the house they were working with the buyer on and put it under contract. So I would just say it's important for my fellow agents in here and anybody watching this is that. Make sure you're running comps because, like Josh said, these people are thinking they're getting the same prices as they were a year or two ago. So it's like they're listing them $20,000, $30,000, trying to just squeeze as much as they can out of this listing. And let's just say your buyer's happy with getting a house at list price, but this house is listed $30,000 over what it's worth. Now it gets appraised, and it's gonna get appraised $30,000 low. So it's like. Make sure you're running comps on all houses that you're working with and you're dealing with, and now is a great time. I do enjoy it because there is flexibility for a buyer to do an inspection, do an appraisal, and come in. If you have a house to sell, it's a lot easier. Before, if you had a house to sell, there was just no way that you were going to be able to buy a house. You had to either have an investor come in and pay cash and be able to be flexible, or you just had to somehow work it to where you sold your house, got the funds, maybe stayed in it for 60, 90 days, or went and rented month to month, and then bought a house. So it's just a great time right now to buy if you're over 500, just because you have options, which before you just didn't have. So
See, I needed you.
Hey, sorry,
they needed to hear that.
Thank you.
They needed that. They needed that. But Noah's exactly right. And if you're looking at this from a seller's point of view, you need to keep this in mind that I don't know if it's going to get, with the market shifting the way it is, I don't know if it's going to get better than now for a seller over $500,000. If you were looking to sell over $500,000, you've been on the fence thinking about it maybe for a year, I would recommend you go ahead and put that on the market because almost all listings over $500,000 right now we're seeing that price increase. We're not seeing we're not seeing it as competitive as it was beforehand. So these are just some things to think about. If you're under $500,000, not much has changed for you. But over $500,000, I feel like things have completely changed. Does anybody have any questions in our large standing audience? Anybody watching live, do they have any questions? I'm on Instagram, so I can't see. Is anybody on Facebook? Are they asking anything?
What about sellers over 500,000?
Yeah, I think you should. For one, I think you should. Any comps over 2 months before now, I'd even say a month. If something hadn't gone under contract in the last 30 to 45 days, I wouldn't say that. I'd say that's not a good comp. I know people want to get the top dollar for their house, so they might look at something that sold 2 or 3 months ago, and feel like that's where they need to price their house. Yeah. What I would recommend is you look at how many listings are at that price point now, listed, active, and how long they've been on the market. And I think that will give you the best. Right. That will give you the best information on where you need to be at price wise, because it's not the same as it was 3 months ago. It's not even the same as it was 2 months ago. It's really not even the same as I feel like it was 1 month ago. So I just think anything over $500,000 as a seller, you have to be very strategic in your price. And just how you market that, because you don't want to be too high because you're just going to sit there like we learned with our listing at 600, and anything under $500,000 when it comes to selling, you still want to be priced competitively. We always say you can never list the property too low, but you can list one too high. If you list it for $10, it's still going to bid up to what the value would be if you were to go ahead and list it at the price that value was. If that made any sense at all. But if nobody has any questions, anybody have anything to add? No? Well, I appreciate you stuck this out with me. If you understood that last analogy, damn, you're a lot smarter than me. But thank you for watching. We'll be back here next week for Real Estate 101 at 1. Have a great day.